Hey, everybody, welcome back to STRonomics. I almost called it the other podcast. Can't get my shit straight today, Kenny. Um, this is part 2 of I'm losing $3,000 a month. Now, what do I do? We know a lot of you are in this boat right now. Bookings have slowed, saturation, whatever, demand's down. All of those things are in place. We talked a lot about in the last episode, Kenny, a lot about photography, photos, staging, but also showcasing amenities, right? And if you did not catch that episode, I would go back over to STRonomics.com. Apple, Amazon, Spotify, we're everywhere. And you can catch that episode once you're done listening to this one. So why don't you lead in with part 2 as we get started? What's the next thing?
Yeah. So first off, actually, something I want to just like kind of discuss is that, we're in the middle right now. We're recording this in June. This is probably going to be coming out maybe June, July. And we're in the middle of peak season in a lot of markets. And so a lot of you listening might be like, well, I'm not losing money right now, because it's peak season. But guess what? This fall is going to hit and winter's going to come too. And there's a high chance a lot of you are going to be losing money, especially this year with bookings being down. I'm already seeing that where last year, the average booking lead time across the country was 73 days. And now for like today, I literally checked this metric over the weekend. So going for like this time last year, it was 73-day booking lead time. Today, like this year, 2023, it's 37 days. Half of what it was from last year. So rates are naturally going to be down. And a lot of you listening, you might be like, well, I'm more than breaking even. I'm even making money right now, but there's a high potential that you're going to be losing money in this fall and winter. So taking action today rather than waiting till you're losing money is more important. So take what we say and start applying it today, even during the high times, because that'll save you and actually make you money when you need it coming in. So go ahead.
I agree. I think a lot of people are going to wait till the shoulder season. And they're going to be
when there's pain, right?
What's that?
When there's pain, that's when people take action.
Right now, you got to be preparing for shoulder season right now.
Yes.
Right. This is when you do your listing shift, your photo shift. Hopefully you have decent occupancy. I mean, I'm already doing that, and I told Kenny before our recording, my number one property. I mean, I've got 3 weeks open at my number one property, and that's going to represent $48,000. Now, at best, I'm probably going to be able to get maybe somewhere between 25 to 30 out of that. I'll get it booked, but it's going to be significantly discounted because I've had to lower my pricing. And that is a combination of everybody can lower your pricing. That'll increase your rankings, but you got to watch your rankings too. The problem is this property is still in the top 3 for every occupancy that I'm interested in. So all I can do is try to compete on price. Almost everybody that's coming to search Gulf Shores, for my occupancies, which are really 8 through 14 for this property, they're finding it, right? They're just not booking it. And then when I go in and I enemy method and I look at the competitors, I'm down to, I've never, ever between May 1st through the end of September charged less than $1,000 a night for this property. I'm at $999 starting for the last week of June. It's actually like, I think $1,100 for the two Saturday and then the Friday night, but it's like $999. I'm probably going to have to go lower because now I'm within 5 days of arrival for that first week, right? And I've gone from 7 days to 3 on the weekends and 2, the whole 3-2-1 strategy, right? So it sucks. But that's one of the things I think, not that we're going to talk about pricing the entire time here, but a lot of people, Kenny, think that they can just set this and forget it. I can tell you, May of 2020 through probably July of 2022, it was set it and forget it unless you heard me preaching raise your rates, raise your rates, raise your rates. That's all changed. I'm in Price Labs every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, right? And I'm looking at the market reports. I'm looking at the search volume. I'm using AirDNA and their pacing feature. I'm doing manual. I'm using RankBreeze. I'm using everything I can to try to get ahead of everybody else's pricing so I don't have to continue to lower and lower pricing. I'm doing buy-sell trade groups. I'm doing my Facebook ads. I'm doing email marketing. I'm doing it all. The interesting thing, Kenny, is I haven't really tracked a whole lot of the search volume in a market like Gulf Shores, or the Smoke, Gatlinburg, or anything like that since we've gotten into the peak season. But I remember the last time I really checked it was in the downtime in February, and that's where this property got crushed, and I haven't been able to make up. I got close to making up that delta going into the first week of June, and I'm fine now. I'm literally right now at down probably about 9%. But if I
Mm,
miss these 3 weeks, that's going to cost me almost 50 G's. That's going to drop me down to almost 30%, right? So then what happens? Holy shit, then I'm going into September and October. I'm already down 30%. I could end up more than 30% down, right? So thank God I've got a good September and October already taking bookings. And that's one of the things that you kind of touched on previously. Even though I'm still trying to get these 3 weeks booked, I'm already in shoulder season. I'm already marketing for fall break. I'm already marketing for Shrimp Fest. I'm marketing for Labor Day. I just booked at this property, thank God, at like a $7,800 booking over Thanksgiving. I'm trying to stay ahead of these things in that marketing curve, hoping that some of those people that you talked about that were at 78 days that's now cut in half are looking for those holidays, far enough out in advance.
yeah. I just bought a hot tub for my property in Watkins Glen. So because I know that I've got bookings all the way till the beginning of September and then it just drops off. And I know that looking at my competition, none of them have a hot tub. So it's starting to get cooler, in New York in September, October. So what? Get a hot tub, extend the season, looked at the data, makes sense. Pulled the trigger on it. So we're getting it delivered in 2 weeks in the middle of peak season,
Yep.
when the hot tub isn't even desirable. But those people have already booked, so be
But
nice to
those people they're looking now. They
yeah,
may
they
not
are.
book, and here's the thing that I think is super interesting what you said about lead time, right? So I want to go back to hot tub first, then jump over to lead time. Because hot tub, what did the hot tub cost you? 10, 12 grand?
Yeah, 12. Yeah.
12 that and that's going to cost you another grand for the electrician to come and hook everything up or whatever it is or put it in
Yeah.
the box. It's 13 G's by the time that you're done. That's almost not optional anymore,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's required. It's not optional. But going back to the previous episode, you might only get $5,000 or $6,000 of value in hot tub if you don't get great photos and market it appropriately, right? So that's the thing that I think is really important, and when Kenny's looking at the data, you know, he's looking at data for other hosts. It's not all the super hosts. And I'm not saying the Airbnb term is super host. I'm a super host. Kenny's a super host. So he's going to get great photos. He's going to get those stage photos, and you're going to use those for marketing outside of your listing, I would imagine, as well. That's the deal here, right? That's where we tie into the marketing, how your amenities can tie in. I mentioned this on the previous episode. I've never had a barrel sauna before. I have no idea how much a barrel sauna will impact any of my properties, but I bought a fucking barrel sauna for my Montana property because of the marketing that it's going to present. There's no question. When people get done skiing in the winter, they're going to want to get in that barrel sauna. It's right next to the hot tub. But now I can get these, you mentioned drone shots that
Mhm.
can like be down 20 feet above behind it and showcase, oh, here's the barrel sauna, here's the hot tub, there's the river, there's the lake, there's the Canadian, and showcase the view and get exceptional marketing material, right? And that's the thing that I think a lot of people are missing is that marketing material, which many times is completely different than what you would use in your listing, right? That's what I think becomes really, really important. You think about how do you stitch a story together? Let me say that one more time. How do you stitch a story together? Every one of our properties should have a story, and we should be able to stitch that together in 5 to 6 images. If you can stitch that together in 5, 6, 7 images or less, now you can turn that into a video on Canva. You can have Facebook will turn those images into a video, a slideshow for you to run an ad. You can put those into Instagram, into a reel organically, or not on a reel, but on a post on Instagram and have them scroll through. You can turn them into an Instagram or a TikTok reel, right? So how do you stitch that story together? Now Kenny kind of has, hey, summer's been awesome. NASCAR's coming in August to Watkins Glen, but let's start thinking about fall and apple picking and autumn and the colors. And by the way, When you're done doing all that shit, come and relax in the brand new hot tub, right? And then he can stitch these stories together because that's all we're really doing. Those of you that are writing copy and showing photos of here's our family room, here's bedroom 1, here's bedroom 2, here's a hot tub, here's a cornhole game, you're not stitching the story together. You've got to use images and copy and social to be able to stitch those stories together. That's the big thing that I see that people are missing.
Yeah. And Pete, you need to make sure you're showcasing the experience of the property rather than like the bedrooms or the kitchen, like things like that. Like, sure, that's important, but that shouldn't be up front and center. What's going to differentiate you from everybody else? So, I think
most people's going to buy a hot tub like you, Kenny, and they're going to write on their description underneath seats up to 4 people, or a 4-person hot tub on the back deck.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know where you're going to put yours, right?
Oh, it's going to be plastered all over the listings. So,
what's your description under the first image of the hot tub going to be?
They put me on the spot here. I'm not a copy person. I'm like, let me pull up Chat GPT real quick and do it. But it will probably be something along the lines of like, kick back and enjoy the lake views, because it has lake views, and my wife and I have been like talking about this.
After a long day of hiking and apple picking up in New York and going to the NASCAR race, you come back with you're
drunk from the wine, like sitting hot.
Yeah. You're gonna relax, enjoy a nice, glass of Cabernet as you gaze over the majestic lake, right? That's what we're talking about with telling the story of that amenity and how it's going to impact somebody and make them feel.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I'm just typing that up now.
But not everybody can add a hot tub, Kenny. So what do they do but if they can't add a hot tub?
Or other amenities, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously other things besides hot tubs that move the needle, but let's move away from like photos and stuff. Obviously there's pricing. One thing too is focusing on getting more reviews. We've talked about that in the past. So get your guests to leave you reviews, go at it, seed the request, ask the guests for reviews, 5-star review on top of that too. Get people to leave you reviews, the guests that you do and then finally something too that, we might have talked about this before.
Hang on. Let's stay on reviews real quick. Okay. Hold your thought real quick. Because one thing that I think is really important is that you communicate with the guest and ask them for the review before they check out. So I have this in my checkout message that goes out at 8 a.m. The day before checkout. And I'm referencing, it would mean the world to me and my family. Everybody write this down. It would mean the world to me and my family if you could give our family beach house, our family lake house, our family Montana house a 5-star review, because it would help our small family business or something like that, right? But if you let them know that it would mean the world to you, and then you leverage in your family, they're like, holy shit, how can I give these people, it's their small family business, how can I give them a bad review, right? Or when they were thinking about 4 stars because they thought that was good, that they give you that extra 5th star, right? So there's this thing. And then the other thing that I do in the copy is I let them know that I thank them for being a great guest. I used to tell them I would give them a 5-star review, but then I had a couple of shitty guests and I didn't give them, so I don't want to lie to them. So I let them know how grateful we are that they were such a great guest and they took great care of our property. Now, some of you, cynical people that are out there and say, well, what happens if they trash my property? It doesn't matter.
Well, don't send the review. Don't send the message. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, but I don't even know that yet, Kenny, because this is pre-checkout, right? But then follow up with that same sentiment again after they've checked out. So you should be sending a review message. If they already haven't left you a 5-star review by 4 p.m., 5 p.m. the day of checkout, you need to follow up with them in the messenger via text, email, whatever that is, and let them know that if they've been a great guest and you've given them a 5-star review, let them know. It's really still like if my cleaners get in. So one of the parts is the operational process ties into the marketing piece and the review piece, Kenny. My cleaners, the first thing they're required in every fucking market is they put in a load of laundry first if there's nothing in the washer, because we know how long that takes, especially with larger properties like I have. But then they do their 15-minute QC walk. and they look at everything just to assess if there's any damage. I'm not talking about the channels on the right, TV's on the right channel or flipping every light switch, but just making sure there's no damage, no freaking hair dye on the wall, nothing broken, that type of stuff. So that way I know before they're done, so I can communicate with that guest that afternoon, right? So if they say, hey, everything's good, and I have them rate on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the status of the house? If they give me an 8 or above, I'm immediately sending the guests and saying, hey, my cleaners have already looked at the property. Thank you so much for taking such great care of it. As soon as I can today, I'm going to leave you a 5-star review. I really appreciate you as a great guest. And then I say, you have no idea how hard it is in our family business when people trash our house. Thank you so much. And I leave a heart emoji every single time. What do you think that does? That makes them feel really good, and they already know. So what happens? Reciprocity. Reciprocity is critical. So positioning of how we say things, this is the marketing piece. This is taking that ops piece and leveraging that on timing when your cleaners get in and do their QC. Most of us have the cleaners do QC at the end. I have a separate person come in and do that QC after they're gone. This is really important from that whole review standpoint. I did not do this until about 6 weeks ago when Kenny came in and we started talking about an average review is worth about $200. Right? When I see an average review that's worth about $200, I immediately change my operational procedure in the SOP with every cleaning crew in every single market. And I have gotten 1 4-star review. It's the one where it's all 5 stars, and then, they give you that 1 4-star review on value. And it's because it was an old lady at my lake house. I could not explain to her in 58 messages dynamic pricing and why she was paying more on a Saturday and Sunday than on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And I got a 4-star review on value.
Wow.
But that communication, that sentiment, becomes really, really important. It's all about that positioning, all about the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
We're
Well,
done?
No. That's it for reviews.
Oh, yeah, you had one more. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we can keep going, but one thing too that I kind of realized this year is you need to audit your expenses and you need to identify if you can cut some of your costs. So, for example, there's more and more, we've talked about this before and we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. There's more and more insurance carriers out there. There's different types of pest control companies, trash companies. I actually had a guy come up to me. He sent me a door fly hanger or whatever that said, "Hey, I'm a new trash company and I'm in your neighborhood. I'm trying to pick up new business. I'm offering at this rate, which is like $10 cheaper than the other service per month." And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if it's the same service and everything, yeah, why not? And sure enough, same, boom, like nothing changed except the color of the can. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, let's do it. And I saved $10 in an economy where everything's kind of like tightening and there's opportunity. There's a ton of new businesses coming in. There's a ton of new companies who are hungry. They want to get their name for themselves and they will cut and slash costs. And ultimately a lot of these things, it's a zero-sum game, meaning companies will compete on price to see who has the lowest to try to get the business. And so as consumers, we can take advantage of that and shop around. So do that once a year. Check internet providers. That's another big one too. I just got an email. Hey, we're offering FiOS in your neighborhood. I'm not loyal to the guys I'm with now. They suck. I hate the internet here, but I didn't have a choice. Now I do, and I'm probably going to switch, and it's $25 cheaper a month.
Even if you're not going to switch, just call Comcast or Time Warner or Mediacom or whatever and tell them that you're gonna cancel the service.
Right.
And if you do that like once a year, they will renew you. Most of the time, they will renew you onto a promotional package.
Yeah. So there's ways to cut costs and actually like boost your revenue because of that. So don't just think, and really what we're going here in these 2 episodes we've spent 20 minutes each on, you can't set it and forget it. If you're losing money, you've got to do something. You've got to move. And so we've just provided you options or tools in your arsenal that you can leverage to cover that cost that you're paying out.
So over these last 2 episodes, there's no question that we talked about photos are really going to be the first spot. You can't just have good photos. You need to be like super photos up at the top. You need to have great staging. You need to have great photos. You need to look at adding amenities that'll move the needle. Kenny talked about, I don't remember if it was last episode or this episode, adding a hot tub to his Watkins Glen property. And the interesting thing about that, he's spending 13 G's, to add the hot tub. 13 G's, that's like almost 4% of what you paid for that property. That's crazy. 4% of what you, I had to do some quick math in my head. I'm not real smart. 4%. But what's interesting, what do you think that'll do to your revenue, Kenny?
I'm
10 grand?
I'm thinking, yeah, it's about 4%. You're right. I'm thinking it's going to be, I will probably make about $20,000 more. I'll get that money back in a year.
20 grand more. You'll get it back in 6 fucking months. You'll have it back before the end of the winter and the end of February.
True. Yeah, that's very true.
So, I mean, those are the things, but it's not just buying the hot tub. It's about getting new photos of it. It's about marketing it. It's about stitching the story. I just want everybody to understand that from a marketing perspective. Stitch the story together. You don't have to have great video like I do because I have Chris that works for me or anything like that. Take like 6 or 7 images and stitch that story together. It's the same thing when you're doing listing optimization from a conversion standpoint. You take those first 5, 6, 7 images, stitch the story from image number 1 all the way through your entire listing. Awesome. Good stuff. I like these 2 episodes, Kenny. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed them. Most importantly, thank you for joining Kenny and I on this episode of STRonomics. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, please take like 10 seconds and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us. Have a great day, everybody, and happy hosting.